Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans. And yep, guess what? I've still got the same t-shirt on. And that is because of time zones, okay? Just get this into your head. Those people who do not understand time zones, I am 8 hours ahead of you. So when I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to put videos up so that I can talk to my subscribers, it's now 5:30 p.m. in the afternoon. In Australian terms, it's probably about mid-morning in South African terms. I've had a long day, and before I go to bed, I'll have a shower like I do every single day, and I'll be up again tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. again helping my South African friends. But that's not what this video is all about, okay? This video is about the South African Revenue Services, SARS, S-A-R-S, okay? And how corrupted it has become. We saw that video of that woman who headed up the IT department who was earning 3 million rand a year, and she didn't even know what a PDF was. She didn't know what a PDF was. She made an absolute idiot of herself, and if you look at my back videos, you can see that for yourself. I think it's in my popular videos below. But that is what is happening in South Africa today. Affirmative action, paternalism, knowing the right people, all these different things are just destroying the country. And of course, the key one that is killing the country is corruption at the highest levels, from the president down. And I put a video up earlier today with this t-shirt. Remember, I'm still in the same day. I put a video up earlier today about what's happening in the city of Johannesburg, and it's absolutely appalling. All right, guys, I'm not going to carry on. I've had a bit of a rant. Please remember to subscribe to be kept informed, and have a great day, okay? I'm off to bed soon because I've got a 4 a.m. start, so I can look at the videos and the links and the emails you send me, and I love the emails you send me. You know, when you send me emails with videos, and there are a couple of standouts here. There's Ria and there's Darby. They're always sending me really good stuff. Shout out to you guys, okay? Now, here's the expose on SARS. This is a company that's collecting your tax. Sorry, not the company, the government organization. But it might as well be a company because it's so corrupt. All right, guys? Speak to you in the morning.
And on Facebook. But first, at the end of the month, the final report of the Commission of Inquiry into Tax Administration and Governance by SARS under Judge Robert Nugent is due. The Commission's interim report at the end of September led to the axing of suspended SARS Commissioner Tom Moyane for what the report called reckless mismanagement. Derek Watts has the story.
The South African Revenue Service, once a world-class benchmark of efficient tax collection, has been brought to its knees. In an intricate web of intrigue and subterfuge, SARS and its people were plagued by controversy. In a shock announcement this week, President Cyril Ramaphosa fired suspended Commissioner of SARS Tom Moyane on the recommendation of Judge Robert Nugent's interim report of the SARS inquiry.
As far as we are concerned, the present commissioner should be removed as early as possible and a new commissioner put in.
The Nugent Commission was tasked with investigating operational and corporate governance issues at SARS while it was under the leadership of Commissioner Tom Moyane, who took the helm in September 2014. Judge Dennis Davis of the Davis Tax Commission is appalled at the current state of SARS and the effect it's having on the overall South African economy.
we know there was a declining tax morality. As efficient a SARS as there had been previously was eroded. You could say 30, 40, 50 billion each and every year just went down the toilet.
Investigative journalist Polly van Wyk has over the last 4 years unearthed corruption within SARS.
One should never think that SARS was without problems. When Tom Moyane came in, things started to change for the worse very quickly. And it was not necessarily operational problems as the previous commissioners had, it was problems made and created by Tom Moyane.
What led to such a harsh recommendation from Judge Nugent? Well, first we've got to go back a few years.
Around 2012, 2013, then President Jacob Zuma and his family found themselves with a few tax challenges, and the best solution seemed to be to restructure SARS to be a little bit more understanding.
Mr. Zuma and his family and the Guptas and certain people propping up the ANC all were under scrutiny from SARS.
But how do you get the right man in the right place?
In comes Bain and Company, an international consulting firm. He earmarks Tom Moyane as a candidate for the top job and gets Mr. Zuma's buy-in.
Based on documents from Bain's own server and obviously our own investigations, that Bain first met with Mr. Zuma when he was still president in 2012, and they had this plan to overhaul the whole of government in the running up to Mr. Moyane being appointed as the head of SARS. He was briefed at least 6 times on how he would change SARS.
Part of Bain's business strategy was to secure government contracts. Evidence supporting Polly van Wyk's assertion that Bain colluded with Tom Moyane and Jonas Makwakwa of SARS, as well as Zuma's alleged fixer, surfaced during her investigations. In an affidavit presented on behalf of Victoria Masone, Bain's former South African representative, Masone admitted that he met on 8 occasions with Mr. Moyane before he joined SARS. In an email to Carte Blanche, Jonas Makwakwa denies these allegations, saying that he never allowed himself to be compromised by anyone throughout his years at SARS, and he always respected processes and abided by them.
Mr. Moyane ensured that Bain received the contract. Bain charged around 187 million, including VAT.
The contract awarded to Bain was to restructure SARS. During the inquiry, it was shown that the tender application process only lasted 6 days, a deviation from procurement protocol.
My understanding was they were brought in to as it were, advise the commissioner as to an optimum structure for SARS at the time.
The restructuring of SARS essentially ensured that key role players were either removed or kept in highly paid positions with little or no power.
Amidst the collateral damage was the exit of Chief Operating Officer Barry Hall, soon after Commissioner Moyane took the hot seat. Barry was the architect of the modernization process at SARS.
So you say your modernization program was suspended before you'd had contact with him to explain what it was about, why you were doing it?
That's correct.
Every good general needs a trusted lieutenant, and for Tom Moyane, his right-hand man was Jonas Makwakwa, who took over from Barry Hall as COO.
Bain's idea and recommendations were that the Chief Operating Officer position, the position of Mr. Barry Hall, was too powerful, and they tried to break it up. But in the end, if you look at SARS, how it was in Mr. Makwakwa's time and Mr. Moyane's time, they actually recreated the super COO position, and Mr. Makwakwa was the Chief Operating Officer. So he, in effect, shunned Bain's advice, and he became very influential, to the detriment of SARS.
Mr. Makwakwa states, "I'm not aware of any recommendations that I refuse to implement." And after completion of the work by Bain and Gartner, different people were assigned to implement the recommendations.
I said to Judge Nugent, when I gave evidence before him, our advice was, in a sense, to tweak that and to improve that, which was part of an existing incredibly efficient system.
I'll tell you what the problem with Bain was, that I never quite understood what the entire need for this restructuring was. That actually SARS actually had a pretty good mechanism. Why do you need to fix something that's not broke?
As with all forms of capture, friends come in handy. Patrick Monyeki, apparently a close friend of Tom Moyani, introduced international IT consultancy Gartner to SARS through their managing partner in South Africa, Neville Willemse. A 200 million rand deal was struck with apparently very little to show for it.
They only had the word of this middleman, Mr. Patrick Monyeki, to start writing and to start working on a contract that they have not yet received and that they had not spoken to SARS about.
Advocate Steinberg asked Mr. Neville Willemse, head of Gartner South Africa, if he knew that writing the terms of reference for a contract they had not yet received was illegal.
Do you know in South African procurement law that that's illegal?
My understanding is if it's...
Sorry, you must just answer the question. The question was, do you know that it was illegal?
No, I don't know that.
You don't know.
In a written response to carte blanche, Gartner denies writing its own terms of reference. They say the document RFP was drafted by Mr. Monyeki. Mr. Willemse added comments to this document, which was then reviewed and amended by SARS.
Gartner then settles terms of reference in consultation with Monyeki and has never spoken to the client at all. And, by the way, has no idea what Mr. Monyeki's relationship is with the client. Is that the kind of thing Gartner normally does? In England, for example?
No, but I feel I'm being pushed into a corner here.
In their response to carte blanche, Gartner says they engaged with procurement and legal in protracted direct negotiations between them and SARS, which were the basis for the initial IT assessment.
At some stage, Rangewave got 40% of the deal, around 80 million rand.
Gartner entered into a triple BEE arrangement with Mr. Monyeki's company Rangewave for additional IT support.
Now, Rangewave Consulting tells us that Mr. Monyeki is no longer a director or shareholder, and they've cut all ties with him. Interesting. We did try to contact Mr. Monyeki. Apparently, he's not taking calls.
Some of the IT structures, according to evidence under oath, is on the brink of collapse. So Gartner and Bain would recommend certain features to be installed, but Mr. Moyani and Mr. Makwakwa would sort of go on their own tangent and change the recommendations by their own.
We should be having a rather larger debate about is the role of professional firms, and certainly consulting firms, their role in what has occurred over the past decade in South Africa, their defense of what were clearly a whole range of practices which essentially created a parallel state.
And when it comes to the VAT increase this year, Judge Davis puts the blame squarely on SARS.
If we had even been able to have recouped 50% of the shortfall that we ran year in and year out in the 3 years that you alluded to, there would have been no need to have basically increased VAT by 1%. And that has had consequences on poor people.
Tom Moyani is challenging his dismissal at the Constitutional Court, having already refused to appear at the Commission. His advocate, Dalian Pop, claimed double jeopardy due to his simultaneous disciplinary hearing.
This is one of the grossest and most unfair processes ever witnessed under this democracy.
Tom Moyani has not responded to carte blanche for an interview.
There's clear prima facie evidence that there was a lot of corruption involved, and these people must appear in court, and they must explain to the country why they broke SARS.
Acting Commissioner Mark Kingan has got a tough road ahead of him, and it's been difficult for him to witness the breakdown at the Revenue Service.
I'm convinced that there are enough good people in SARS at present, and I think there are enough good people outside SARS who could be brought back into SARS to, as it were, recover its former glory.
Do you think the Commission will have done enough to turn SARS around? Please share your thoughts.